Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Scratching Post, where we scratch that gaming itch. And forgive me, chat. I was just playing a little joke on one of my good friends there, Shadow, because Burr is known for being very generous within our friend group. And
too generous for his own good.
A bit too generous for his own good. And so I need to put up the just chatting. There we go, Discord chat. There we go. And so Shadow made like a joke. It's like if Burr could hear us, what would he saying? And yeah.
You may need to change something on the overlay though.
Oh yes, of course. Well, there's titles because of course we are on episode 4 now. I think that actually works quite well going into what our first topic of the day is going to be, which is
he ain't Burr.
And that.
Yeah, that gentleman is not Burr.
Oh, that is not Burr. Well, of course it's not Burr. It's more a case that I knew there was one thing I was forgetting to do. That's changed the regular spot of the guest. You can pretend to be Burr, yeah, for today's session. Javid.
Not Burr.
Not.
Maybe I'm his alter ego, so it's I'm not Burr. No.
Ah! 9999.
There we go. That's solved. Problem solved.
Okay, not Burr.
Okay, fair enough.
Closest thing I can come to. And also,
maybe we should do some introductions.
Yes, let's introduce everyone to the show. Welcome to the show. My name is Ebac, the one who owns this particular channel, which is here. If you're watching on Ebac _the_cat here at the Scratching Post. And to my left is my good friend, another than the Doctor, also known as Not Burr for this session as well. That's very unkind.
I can see this being a running joke. I've got enough Doctor jokes going along. Then now it's going to be Doctor and kind of not Burr. So
Doctor, not Burr.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
And down at the bottom left-hand corner of my screen, you'll see there's the good old Lemming Russ joining us from his channel. And I believe you're streaming on your channel as well.
No, I've decided to put all my eggs in one basket and just be broadcasting to your channel.
Makes sense. And of course, the recent debutee to streaming, one Shadow Phoenix Rider, the Shadow Phoenix Rider, joining us for this stream as well.
Yay, I picked a time where hate raids are all over the place. Great, lovely.
That's fucking bots. The robot armies are uprising. What can I say?
SU Skynet!
Well, let's get on with the show. How's everyone been this week?
You kind of really can't call it a week because it's only been a couple of days for the start of the week, but
Well, since last week, then.
I did a stream.
You did a stream?
I did a stream.
She
Somehow
did it.
The only problem was it's taken from the wrong mic. So anybody who saw that stream and is listening to me now are going like, wait a minute, that sounds like a different mic. You're completely correct. It was.
It's the one on her face.
It's taken from this one and not this one here. Which is unfortunate because that one is a lot clearer than this one. So I'm now thinking,
But picks up more. It's like 6 of one, half a dozen on the other.
Exactly. But I'm now part of the Twitch elite, as Rich said.
Yeah, it does bear noting, however, that this broadcast is not sponsored by Elgato, but
not sponsored by Elgato either. Other brands available downstairs. And little holdover from my old days in Athena. Right then, so
I already paraphrased it once tonight, so it's fair enough.
Hey, I saw an opening and I took it for the meme. I live it. Right, so let's crack on with the first and most important part of this podcast, which is the news.
Yes.
And I think it's more important to get the most important part done first. So, as you well know, last time we spent 2 hours, probably 2.5 hours, taking Blizzard and Activision, shut them over deck and keelhauling them behind us in true pirating fashion.
And then we shot the remains.
And then they said, stop, they're already dead. And then we
did a bit more.
Yeah, then we cut out their tongue, then shot the tongue. And right,
so put everything that was left in a cannon and then physically shot them.
And then hit them with a hammer.
Point is, we weren't very kind to them last time, and that's not going to change this episode. But we're not going to talk about much of it. The key thing is, when doing the research for this about what's happening between now and then, a lot's happened. A lot of it is pretty shitty, A lot of it's pretty terrible. Now, that doesn't mean it's not important and worth talking about. It is. But our own mental health has actually been called into question as a result of looking through all this, because seeping through, the deluge is extremely, affecting when you hear all this stuff. And so we've made the decision to mention keynote parts of today's stream, and then we're closing the Pandora's box until something big happens again, and we're never gonna kind of touch that again. So Shadow, you were the one that was kind of put in charge of this, by which I made a critical mistake with. Do you want to take?
You weren't to know, my friend.
Do we want to take us through quickly just the cliff notes of what's gone on since last month with Activision and Blizzard?
Indeed, yes. I'm just going to paraphrase. Like, Ebak is completely correct. Like, I did a research document for this because I'm mad apparently, and with like, there's been loads more allegations, and some of them are so bad. And I had compiled them into this document, and it was about 6 pages long. And then it was basically like, Shadow, please stop hurting yourself. So it's been condensed into 2 pages. So let's go. So on the 28th of July, the day after our podcast, the Activision Blizzard and King staff staged their walkout with widespread support. They were using the blue heart as a calling card throughout on Twitter and stuff like that. And a lot of local restaurants that Blizzard employees went to donated food to the walkout, and lots of other developers from studios arrived to assist them with setting up and taking down, and like loads of support from everybody, which is great to see. Like, also, like, close to 500 current and past Ubisoft employees also like put a letter out to show to stand behind them, and also call their company into question.
Find the good fight.
We won't be going over that either, because that's shite. Aside from the really good stuff about the walkout, I'm going to give you the cliff notes for the rest of the stuff. Activision said, "Yeah, we're going to deal with stuff. You guys are going to be fine." And then promptly hired the law firm WilmerHale, which is an infamous union busting firm, one of which the partners are on Amazon's board of directors, which is quite interesting.
It's not a good look, is it? It's not a good look.
Everybody immediately went, "You're fucking joking, man." That's like saying, no, it's fine. You guys, we'll do everything to help you guys. Except we won't.
It's fine. The house is on fire. We'll just order the demolition crew.
Yes.
The only thing I can say is the way that it was phrased, I nearly had a sort of like, you could nearly phrase that into a song, which I have very much not great thoughts of. Is the "I'll do anything for love"? It's just like, I'll do that, but I won't do that.
I'll do anything, but not that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're hiring a firm, a publicly traded and very publicly historied firm, to do your legal presentation.
Yes, and a lot of people, and a lot of people immediately sort of smelled the bullshit and was just like, "Yeah, we don't think that you're singing from the same song sheet here."
Yeah, the announcement of their choice was immediately followed by the sounds of like car brakes across the world.
Yes.
And shouts of, "You fucking what?
What? You fucking yeah." So as the shitstorm continued, people have heads have started to roll. Blizzard president J. Allen Brack has been forced out. I have specifically said forced out because it looks like it looks like he's walked away, and they've been replaced. And he's been replaced by co-leaders actually. Former Vicarious Visions leader Jen O'Neill and former Xbox executive Mike Ybarra. Now, yes, finally we have a woman in a leadership position. I'm not going to mention Fran Townsend because of reasons. Problem is, though, it's taken this long for a woman to become in a position of power, and 2, notice that she is co-leader.
Co-leader.
Yeah,
She's not leader. Yeah.
Blizzard could not even now contemplate having a woman as in a sole position of leader. Now, I think a lot of people are going to start off and go, "Wait a minute, Shadow. Aren't you co-leader of the squadron with Ebak?" And it's just like, there is a difference here because we're on equal footing here.
We're a fucking no-name podcast on the internet. They're a big corporation. There's no comparison.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I'm actually fucking respected, I think.
I
am.
Do you have to question that? If you have to question that, we have to have a talk.
I'm joking. But
sorry, the board has spoken. Yes, you are correct.
Woo. Yeah, and the head of HR. I've had reports that he's the vice president of HR. I'm just going to go with the first thing I said. Head of HR has left or forced out, which is good because HR was a piece of shit. Jesse McCree, Lewis Barringer, who is the W4 director, and Jonathan Lee Kraft have been let go.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking Jesse McCree, that sounds familiar. Yes, we'll get onto that.
We'll get onto that.
Yeah, and Corey Stockton is on leave from Blizzard, but has not been asked to leave for good yet. Hopefully, it will be. And if people are wondering who these people are, all but Lewis have been identified in the Cosby suit picture. They're not nice people.
No,
they're not nice people. I don't know what Lewis has done, but probably nothing good.
Well, let's get the ball rolling.
Yeah, and also, as things have been hotting up, finally investors have started suing ActiBliz for being a piece of shit.
When your investors are suing you, that's when you know shit is going down.
Yeah. As I've written here, I'd play the world's smallest violin for them, but if they're the only people that ActiBliz will listen to, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And also, speaking of Fran Townsend, she's stepped down as executive sponsor of the ABK Women's Network. This is not to be mistaken for the ABK Alliance, which is fighting for the workers. In her first good move so far, but she's still employed there for now, so I can't expect too many bright ideas in a day. She's also deleted her Twitter account after she posted a article about the problems of whistleblowing, which is a fantastically, astoundingly stupid move.
It's not just that; it's a very passive-aggressive move as well.
Indeed. And she was hit by so much backlash she had to delete her Twitter account, which is funny actually because she was the former Home Security for the Bushman administration. So for some reason, it's this that will get her to she'll feel shame for this, but not the literal war crime she previously defended.
Oh, damn. Shadow's pulling her punches tonight.
Yeah. About four corporate sponsors have also decided to abandon the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, State Farm, IBM, and Kellogg's. I keep getting conflicting reports whether Coca-Cola has abandoned them or not. I don't think they have because I think Bobby Kotick owns shares in them or is on the board of directors. I cannot remember which one that is. Do not quote me on that. So the only corporate sponsors left on the Overwatch lead is TeamSpeak and Xfinity. Who's heard of TeamSpeak in the last couple of years?
So you're basically saying that the major corporate backers of these programs are now basically ones that Bobby Kotick owns.
I don't know about the other two, but
not necessarily owns, but you get my idea.
Yes.
Or not, or not relevant enough. Yeah.
Allegedly. Yeah. Also, the Department for Fair and Equality. Basically, California's. I can't remember what it is because I just have the abbreviation here, and the DFEH updated its lawsuit to cover temporary workers and accused ActiBliz of being obstructive by using NDAs on its employees and its HR for shredding evidence because apparently it just can't fucking stop. Great, lovely. And also for the final dot at the end here, Overwatch is changing Jesse McCree's name because obviously his namesake is just a shit stain allegedly, and I've already heard that esports announcers have just been calling Jesse the Cowboy instead of by his name, so literally the only way they could go from this is to just rename the dude, which is unfortunate because Jesse McCree is just technically an innocent name, but
Yeah, it is. In fact,
not anymore.
I've been on record saying this, that it's such a shame because I always believed, I didn't know anything about it being an named after a employee. I always thought it was a reference to the Mad Dog McCree games, because McCree is and Jesse James as well as the outlaw. It's a perfect name for him, but unfortunately it's tainted with the fact it's also the name of a shitlord.
Yeah. Also, WoW, the WoW team is also going to also said they're going to remove references that are not appropriate for our world, which is basically removing character names and item descriptions named after former shitty devs I've put here. There's also place names that have been named after. Like, there's been an entire there's an entire capital city in one of the zones named after McCree, which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, so
And a lot of people say, "Oh, this is such an easy thing to do." Well, it's not, because there is a shit ton, and you've got to go through all the databases, and you've got to do all the quest text and everything. It's
not a small task.
Yeah, and you've also got to do art as well, because there is an entire city in on the planet of Argus in Legion called Macquarie. Now you're probably saying, that sounds a bit weird. It's spelt MAC apostrophe AREE.
Yeah, it's a stylization of the name.
Yeah, Mercury. And I'm saying it like that. I have actually a pronunciation guide, because the pronunciation is the brainchild of Jennifer Classing, who I follow on Twitter, and also we've used some of her testimony here on the previous episode, because she thought it was foolish to name the city after Deb. Good for her. She's probably saved probably saved her company a lot of money. But yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it.
So that that is us now closing the box on Activision Blizzard until the box's lid is blown open by something big. But then
hopefully Bobby Kotick resigning.
Like hopefully Bobby Kotick resigning, or maybe, I don't know, Activision Blizzard actually doing fucking something positive. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I could go out on a limb here, but look at you leaning back there.
To end the topic by going completely off topic, you guys might notice that my chair is currently lowering.
I did notice that, yes.
I fucking hate this chair. It's got a problem with the piston because it wasn't designed for somebody of my weight. So it keeps lowering on me occasionally, which kind of sucks when I'm trying to broadcast like this. But
new chair's on the way.
New chair en route. I have a Secret Labs
chair.
Yeah.
We're also not sponsored by Secret Labs, just gonna say.
No, totally not. No. I have a 2022 Secret Labs Titan XL en route for about midway through next month.
And again, this is not a sponsor, it's simply Lemming excited for his new chair.
Hashtag not
a sponsor. Not sponsored.
Not an ad. I'm just completely looking forward to having a chair that won't fail on me.
Although, if you want to sponsor us, Secret Labs.
Exactly. Whoever makes foam swords, sponsor me. Yes, because I went to UK Games Expo. And I now have a fucking sword.
And I am more than happy to take a sponsorship from Goat Guns, by the way. These things are amazing.
Well, the way we're going out between the pair of us, FFG.
Oh, come on! Yeah, I've given enough MFG money to FFG. I should have shares in FFG by this point. Right.
Sponsor me as well. I love the Star Wars stuff. Give me free shit.
Might get to play X1.
Oh, that's the point. Right.
No.
So that covers off the Activision Blizzard news. I'm now gonna change the name of the topic, so we're just simply going to simply the news. And let's.
Now I could just sit back because that's my job done.
So let's start off with some news from the beginning of the month. Lemming, you've got a couple of news articles regarding, funny enough, tabletop gaming. Funny enough.
Oh yes,
tabletop gaming. Games Workshop has proceeded to piss off all of the fan base.
How?
They did the stupidest thing imaginable.
Yeah, they have gone completely hardline on their copyright rules. Their new policies are a complete clampdown on fan-made, basically anything. If you make something as a fan set within the Warhammer or Warhammer 40k or any of their properties, you're liable to receive a legal notice from them.
Yeah, cease and desist.
Yeah, to the point where lots of very popular channels, Twitter accounts, and YouTube channels have literally ceased production.
Thank you for the follow, Lunasec. So yeah, and that is something that is extremely big. In fact, I'm going to bring up, hopefully, if I can, bring up the article now or on screen for people to look at. There we go.
The man with many buttons.
The man with probably too many buttons now that I think about it. But it is what it is. Yeah, I can't bring it up, sadly. Yeah. Oh well. But yeah, there's been a lot of news with Game Workshop, and it's a rather stupid idea. Because fan art is fan art. You can't. Yes, it's the inside. At what point does intellectual property stop being? You can't, if you're not earning money from it. You know, it's and even if you are, you know, you're still the original creator of the art.
It's all to do with like how it's been transformed from the original piece. So a lot of fan art and fan animations are directly using references to Games Workshop's own IP, intellectual property. So, for example, one of the larger channels that does Warhammer 40,000 fan videos is I suck at this name. Barova Alpha Busa. A rather large YouTube channel, just short of 400,000 subscribers. And his first video is 1.5 million views.
Oh.
And he has been forced to completely cease production of any further episodes of these shows that he's been making as a direct result of these policies.
Yeah, it's becoming way too dangerous. And the problem is it's only hurts them because the thing about fans participating in a fandom is that it keeps a property alive and it keeps the culture going.
Yeah, these fan videos were literally going viral at various parts.
Yeah, do you think
people were throwing them around going, hey, this is awesome, look at this. And people were going, that's funny. That's a really funny video. What's it made from? 40K. And then they go, ooh, that's an interesting universe you've got there. I'll dive in. Instead, this is just like, no, locked doors, no entry.
Yeah, do you think that Star Trek and Star Wars would be the cultural phenomenon they are now without the fans? No.
The first Star Trek convention was entirely made by fans.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you know, James Cameron's Avatar. Aside from the film itself, where did that go? After it stayed around for a little while and then it just disappeared out of cultural consciousness. Do you know why? Because there's barely any fan participation in it. Like, if you go and look for fanfics of that shit, there's barely any, and some of them are just. And if you look on the tags in like Archive of Their Own, some of them are just mistagged like Avatar stuff, like the Last Airbender stuff. But you look at something like Star Wars or just Avatar, like Avatar Last Airbender itself, there's so much, and that's how it stays in the cultural consciousness. So if Games Workshop wants to shoot themselves in the face with a shotgun, then be my guest. But I feel for the people that they're hurting with it.
Thankfully,
what would the role be with that though, Lemming? From point blank, with the Warhammer, shoot themselves in the face. What's the role for that?
Quite a big one.
They are fans are fighting back though, Lemming, aren't they? According to this Vice article that you sent me.
Yeah, they are indeed fighting back against these, frankly, draconic methods that Games Workshop are dropping on everybody. It's boycotts around the world happening on Games Workshop products in general, and it's fairly hefty. What's going on? I'm just trying to find these.
As the article here says, at issue, it is an update to Games Workshop intellectual property guidelines. The new policy explicitly laid out do's and don'ts on how the company wants fans to handle Warhammer 40K as other universes. At the bottom, it detailed a list of infringements that it has a zero tolerance policy towards. It includes printing books, using 3D printers to make copies of their models, and a ban on fan animations. Individuals must not create fan films or animations. Sorry, start quote. And individuals must not create fan films or animations based on setting and characters. End quote. The guideline said, quote, these are only to be created under license from Games Workshop. End quote.
Yeah.
Cool. You just shot yourself in the ass with that.
Yeah. Please note that they bring this up just as they release their own streaming service.
Convenient.
Interesting,
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
They've
funny.
produced Warhammer Plus, a streaming service with very little content on it, which is basically entirely driven by content from former content creators that they then bought.
Yeah.
There is a series on Warhammer Plus called Astartes that started off as a very popular fan animation, went for about 5 or 6 episodes, and then got bought by Games Workshop. They then edited it and put it lock, stock, and barrel on their streaming service. Well done, guys. You just shot yourself in the foot.
It's not exactly a good thing.
Animators, and then you're blocking fan animators.
And that's the thing, is that a lot of these companies get free publicity from these fan productions, and it's just such a shame, because it's really, I never thought I'd see the day when companies are putting restrictions on fans for something that's beyond the company's control.
I mean, there's certain aspects of this whole clampdown that is entirely understandable. 3D printing, for example.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, they're a games miniatures company. If you're going to be 3D printing all of your models, then they go bankrupt.
Yeah, I can fully understand that. I can fully understand that, because that is legitimate. Now, if you wanted to use 3D printing to enhance your models with things that are not available on your own creation, then that should be allowed, I think. So long as the majority of the model's yours, I guess you get into like legal grey areas there. But David, you and I play a miniatures game called X-Wing. How many times have we seen people substitute, X-Wing ships for little miniature Lego models or things like that as a bit of fun, And yes, the rule book does state that you are not allowed to do it, but there's the general consensus in the community that as long as the opponent is happy and the tournament organizers are happy, you can basically do it. Exactly. As long as you have the original component, you also can do it.
That was the next point I was going to get to. Alternate art cards was a big thing for a long while. And it normally comes to a point of basically you can bring all your alternate art cards as long as you have the original copy of the card or an alternate version printed by FFG directly as a backup supporting it, and show it to the tournament organizer before you start.
So basically show that you have a legitimate copy, which is perfectly fine. That you can then basically use a substitute if you and your opponent agrees, and if your opponent agrees to it.
God, that's why that just made me think of my Lancer for a minute.
Yeah, because your Lancer's modified with lights in it, isn't it?
Yep.
Which technically is an illegal modification.
No. So the thing at the time was it had a rotating arc before the...
Yeah, of course.
Before they really became a thing. And, now, obviously, there's ones I can use now. I think I lost mine. You had people doing different modifications, which was normally like, ironically, we just combine the two things together, taking big guns off 40k stuff and putting it as the gun turrets for the Lancer, but I went for the lighting to separate it.
And creativity is a keystone of any fandom. Every fan wants to imprint a bit of themselves into their fandom. Naturally, that's going to seep in a little bit.
Yeah, and also like, people just come up with fan theories. Like, I follow quite a few accounts on Tumblr, which were basically like every other day I get like a new theory about the Jedi or something that's really, really interesting about their culture and stuff. It's just mwah. But you wouldn't get it. You wouldn't get it like if you try to suppress it, kind of thing. You just have fun with your dead property that nobody gives a shit about.
Yeah, the lore for 40k is full of just like dead ends that could be thought about. There's discussions all over the place within the community of why is this character like this? Why is he trying to get to this place? And what are his motives? Yeah, they're all over the place.
And that spawns fan theories and fan fiction, and it just...
So shutting down fan works like fan fiction is stopping the debate and therefore stopping progress within your own universe. And just to reiterate on the whole 3D printing aspect of it, Games Workshop themselves has official tournament rules on how much of a model can be 3D printed.
Well, there you go.
They already have that set. They won't allow you to have an entirely 3D printed army, because obviously that would be bullshit. But they allow you to like 3D print or sculpt or do your own work on accessories for your items. The rules are already there. Why are you shooting yourself like this?
Yeah, I'd also just like, I'm gonna plug if that's okay, but I'm just gonna say, people who have Warcraft, Warhammer fanfiction, the Archive of Their Own is a wonderful like repository of fanfiction. If you put your stuff there, they actually go around and collect donations, so they can afford like an actual team of lawyers. So if Games Workshop comes after them, they can fight this shit, because this has happened before several times. Like LiveJournal has completely nuked like accounts just for copyrighted shit like this, and the organizers of Archive of Our Own basically went, no, please stop doing this. We need to have a repository for this sort of these cultural works. So they have a little place now, and they go around every year, and they say, hey, can we have some money just so we can keep the site running, and we can like afford like lawyers if we need to, kind of thing.
Yeah, they're setting up an archive for internet culture, basically. Fan writings like this do not necessarily need to be a part of what they were inspired by. You know, yes, this is fan fiction from X series, but it's a fan fiction. It's not canon. It's purely written for the enjoyment of the author and whoever reads it.
Yeah,
usually for free.
Yeah, like I'm gonna say that most people who write fan fiction are not like trying to steal they're writing it out of love, kind of thing. Yeah. It's just like there's nobody's under any obligations that this is anything to do, like this is theirs or anything. It's basically like this is a sandbox. I want to play with the Lego, kind of thing.
Yeah. Let me in. I want part of this. I mean, back when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I wrote a 40k fan fiction. If I release it now, it would get shut down.
Yeah,
that pisses me off.
Yeah. Well, and of course, I've written quite a few fan fictions.
Let's move on to the general news topics, which I'm going to pop through now, generally. First of all, Sony has sold 10 million PS5 consoles. That's great. Why have I not got one in my fucking room right now?
Did you hear about the new one?
The new what?
They're going to do a new version of it.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
With an even shittier heatsink, apparently.
Oh, God, really? That's the thing. That's the thing, James. You are quite right. To whom? I feel like 5 million out of those 10 million are sitting in someone's garage right about now, just waiting to be sold.
Or is that a sold in big inverted commas? Because 5 million of those were ones that were pre-ordered.
Yeah.
Especially saying they sold 10.
Well, to be fair, it's just ridiculous the fact that there are 10 million consoles out in the market and it's still impossible to get one. You know, I just boggles the mind when we're nearly a year ahead of the release and you can't get one for love nor money. It's just utterly ridiculous. Well, you can if you're willing to pay the scalper prices.
And there's also the problems with like the microchips as well.
And the microchip shortage as well, yes, which is going to last until 2023 apparently. Which that's sad, but. Yeah, quick note there. Kingpin backs down, removes Frostpunk 2 pre-order key listing. Now, you know more about this yourself, Lemming, so take us through it.
Yeah, basically, Kinguin, the third-party grey market website for Steam and games keys in general, had listings for a Frostpunk 2 pre-order key. Which Frostpunk being developed by 11-bit Studios. They developed Frostpunk 1, a game that I am very fond of and really want to play more of at some point. Very interesting series, basically set after the apocalypse. Brilliant series. And Kinguin, being the grey market bullshit as that they are, got righteously called out by 11-bit Studios, who called Kinguin a shitty scammer for selling pre-orders of a game that doesn't exist yet.
Good for them, as in the devs calling a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Kinguin released an official statement stating, following feedback from the gaming community last week, we will be reviewing our criteria for posting pre-orders on Kinguin.net. Shouldn't that have already been the case?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shouldn't all products being put on your service be reviewed?
Yeah,
You would have thought.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you pre-order a resold key?
Yeah, exactly. We remain committed to ensuring our customers are able to buy their favorite games at the best price, including through pre-order process, and we listen to the voice of the gaming community, he says in all bold lettering.
Yeah, bold lettering.
Wait a minute. That's just a buzzword. Okay. Kinguin.net operates in a transparent business model. Interesting how the buzzwords are all like emboldened for some reason. And all items sold on our website come from distribution channels of game developers or publishers. I'm calling bullshit on that one.
Press X to doubt.
That is proven by our quality insurance ratio, as more than 99.5% of our games keys are validated. What about the other 0.5?
Yeah.
There are millions of keys on your service. That's a lot of keys.
Yeah, I mean, 0.5 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking about millions, you're talking about thousands.
Yeah,
That's a lot of keys.
Exactly. So the fact that 100% of your keys are not validated, that's the idea here. Your validation level is not 100%, ergo some of them sleep through. That's shit.
That's very shit.
And successfully activated by our customers, which means 0.5% of keys have been bought and haven't worked.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a look. 95% of pre-orders in 2020 were successfully delivered.
What was that you said, Doctor?
5%. What's that?
What did you say, Doctor, just now?
I can't remember. I said something as a very quick sort of like thing.
Making a witty repartee. Okay.
Fair enough. Probably. Yeah, 95% of pre-orders were successfully delivered. What happened to the other 5%?
Yeah.
5% of millions.
It's an issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Shipping process.
So good for 11-bit for calling them out and calling a spade a spade.
Yeah. And then with the customer satisfaction rate of 87%, according to SurveyMonkey.
87's kind of low.
That is quite low.
Yeah. That for people who are buying from your website already know what they're doing.
Yeah,
they already know that they're buying from your website.
Yeah,
87%. The idea that somebody who has gone to your website and then successfully gotten a key is going to give you like lower than 75% is ridiculous. They've gotten their key. They're happy. So on that idea, 87% is low as shit.
Yeah, that's low enough to be sus.
Let's move on to the next topic, which I'm actually quite happy about. So leaks suggest that Rockstar Games is probably working on a remastering of its PS2 era Grand Theft Auto trilogy and of Red Dead Redemption 1. Says an insider. An insider, the same insider that apparently leaked... what did he leak? I think he leaked the PC version of Red Dead Redemption 2 happening. But basically, a trusted insider has apparently leaked this information that these games are coming later this year. And originally, they were going to be a pre-order bonus for buying the enhanced edition of GTA 5. Apparently, it's become such a big project that it's been split off into its own thing.
Nice.
So, good. I'm very excited about that. I'm a big fan of the remaster. And just to mention, they've mentioned that it's not going to be just simply re-releases. They are going to be introducing quality of life improvements into these things, supposedly. We don't know very much about them. We know it's a rumor and it's happening. And I'm just excited about the news of Red Dead Redemption 1 coming to PC because they have the framework with Red Redemption 2. So, yes.
Continue the story.
Basically, yeah. Which is
if they actually confirm that a remake or remaster of Red Dead Redemption 1 is coming to PC, that will be, a light of fire under me to actually finish Red Dead Redemption 2.
Because the big surprise for me is that they are making an enhanced version of GTA 5, like the PS5 version and Xbox One version, what's coming out, is actually going to be an enhanced version of the game that already exists. So we already know it's going to have new content, and they're going to release a PC version of that enhanced version as well. So, which I'm actually quite excited for, because I'm like, well, you're taking a game that's quite old now and enhancing it. What are you going to do to enhance it other than just make it a bit more shinier? So I'm actually very curious about that. But yes, I am very interested in this news from Rockstar, and I hope it's not a lie. Note the article only mentions Grand Theft Auto, but the leaker did mention Red Dead Redemption 1 as well. So take with it what you will. It is only just rumor and speculation, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that it is indeed the case. Including the fact that the entirety of Mexico is actually playable in GTA, in Red Dead Redemption 2. You just can't access it.
Ah.
And of course, if you add that in, suddenly you've got Red Dead Redemption 1 as in its entire area. So there we go.
Well, that might be a good idea to build it in the second game and then just pick it up and put it in another game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although that's me assuming in game dev, and then you're just like, no.
Well,
how it works.
The engine is there, and it's a very quick way of doing it. And to be fair, by setting Red Dead Redemption 2 in the original setting is actually quite a smart move, because you could theoretically just do exactly what we just talked about, where you just take the original. You've got the assets, you've got the characters. All you do is redo the characters that appear in the original game. Which, to be fair, some characters actually appear in GTA in Red Dead Redemption Online as characters, so they could just take those models, age them up a little bit, and then introduce them into online, and Bob's your uncle. Re-record the dialogue, which that's going to be the hardest thing to do, but if not, you could take the dialogue from the original masters if they still have them. But yes, I'm very excited about that. I'm not going to touch too much on it, because of course we've got a lot of news to get through, so I'm going to move on. A few releases coming out this month, which I was very excited about. One of the key ones that came out this month for me was Axiom Verge 2. I've played a little bit of the first one. Very good Metroidvania. In fact, I'm thinking about streaming Axiom Verge 2 after I finish the first one to see. So we'll see how that gets to. Now we move on to some salty devs, as the Among Us devs were blindsided recently, as Fortnite introduced a brand new mode, which is called New Imposters Mode, which basically looks a lot like Among Us, riding the Among Us train. And there's a lot of, shall we say, a bit of salt going on between the Among Us devs who were not told about this. They did say we didn't patent the Among Us mechanics, and they don't believe that leads to a very healthy games industry. However, they did comment in the tweet, which I can see here. We didn't patent the Among Us mechanics. I don't think it leads to a healthy game industry. Is it really that hard to put 10% more effort into putting your own spin on it, though?
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, the games industry steals from the best. There's no doubt about it. People have been stealing Fortnite as the Get Battle Royale mode as a game mode. But the thing is, innovation is also important, and making your own is also important. And I completely agree with the devs here.
I mean, video games is an iterative process. Everything is built on the game before it. So we wouldn't have Call of Duty if it wasn't for Doom.
Exactly.
Every game is built on the blocks before it, much like science is built on the shoulders of giants. So the idea of just like, we took your idea and then made something newer with it. It's like, brilliant, yeah. Rather than we basically ripped off your entire map wholesale and put it into our game for a special month-long event.
Control-C, Control-V.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, Fortnite itself really doesn't fit that gameplay style. It's a third-person action shooter, with battle royale elements, of course. But how do you suddenly convert that into a stealth-based social deduction game? It's possible, but it's like there's no logical connection that you'd make the jump to that. So it's clearly been taken from that.
I mean, there's been comparisons between the maps, and while the maps are different enough, the actual routes between the areas of the map, so between the rooms and the actual locations, are identical. They haven't even changed you go from the main hall the same direction to get to control, to get to the engine room, all these different areas, all take the same route.
I'm just gonna say, just because you managed to Epic, just because you managed to shove a battle royale mode into Fortnite and it worked, doesn't mean you could just shove anything into Fortnite and it'll work.
Oh,
That was going to be an actual game. Then the battle royale mode blew up, and then he just went, "Fuck it, we'll make this the actual game."
I have a sword now.
I don't think you need the sword with those claws. Let's move on to something a bit more positive then.
Allegedly.
Pokemon Diamond, Brilliant Diamond, and Shining Pearl.
Can I just say, like, I was like in the Pokemon Direct, I was not sold on these remakes when they were first announced, but seeing them in the Pokemon Direct and how they've actually improved on it and how they've all the changes they're making, I'm on this train. I want it now. They've sold me.
Also, if that Dialga and Palkia Switch was available as a normal Switch and not a Switch Lite, I would so get a revised Switch for that.
It's so pretty. It's so pretty.
I love.
Also,
I would love
also more details on Legends Arceus as well, which looks so good. I am so fucking excited. I've not been excited for a Pokemon game in a long ass time, but I am pumped.
That was actually going to be the next thing I cover, which is the Legends of Arceus trailer. Which, if you've not seen that trailer, you should see it. It definitely seems like this is the Pokemon game people have been waiting for, and the direct evolution of the series. It's nice to see Pokemon finally innovating on its original, rather than doing like a side game, which clearly works, but doing its own thing. Innovating on its main game and like taking it to like the next step, the next logical step.
Yeah,
they need to actually evolve gameplay rather than just we've added new creatures. We've added new creatures.
And before anyone comes at us, we know they introduce new mechanics every single generation. But if you think about it, can you honestly say every generation has not had pretty much the same general gameplay loop for a long time? This looks like it's going to change that gameplay loop and the idea of what it means to play a Pokemon game, which at that point you could argue is it a Pokemon game though. But I think in the same way that Doom only allows you to move left and right and then look left and right, but then introduced looking up and down and all that lark, this is basically the equivalent. This is now looking up in your Pokemon game.
Yeah, no, I think me and Ebak have had like loads of long discussions about this, but I think that Sword and Shield, like I love Sword and Shield, like I love that game to death, but even I can admit, like a lot of people are expecting more, and I think, and the formula is showing its age. It really is showing its age now, and with other creature collecting MMOs coming out. Well, I say MMOs, like I know Pokemon's not an MMO, but walk with me here. There's Temtem with Temtem coming out and Ooblets and stuff like that. Like people are challenging that formula, and I think for the first time, people looked at Sword and Shield and went, "Guys, we expect a bit more than this." And I think that was the wake up they probably needed. Like I'm pretty sure that they were already working on Legends Arceus because game dev takes a long time.
It does, yeah.
But I think that probably will give them the push to put more into Arceus to really explore that formula. And I for one really hope it succeeds in its I hope people really like it and warm to it and it comes out well, because I really want to see like Pokemon take on a new direction kind of thing. And this looks like the opportunity. This looks like the test. They're testing the waters, just like, will people accept this kind of thing? And if they do, then we're off to the races. And that's why I'm so excited for it, like for this game, because I want to see what it's like. And I hope that people accept it and really go for it, kind of thing.
Moving on to the next thing to touch on the news, from Nintendo Does Amazing with that to Nintendo Don't Do ROMs, as the owner of defunct ROM site ordered to permanently destroy all unauthorized Nintendo games. A court has ordered the owner of defunct ROM site to permanently destroy all unauthorized copies of unauthorized Nintendo games they have access to. As reported by Torrent Freak, a California judge ordered Matthew Storman, owner of currently offline ROM Universe, to permanently destroy all unauthorized Nintendo games or other unauthorized copies of Nintendo's intellectual property, including movies, books, and music, no later than the 17th of August. I will state, I really need to do an important disclaimer here, which is the Commandant podcast does not condone the use of piracy within the use of maintaining a game. However, it does believe that gamers have a right to make sure that their gaming history is preserved. That's all I'm going to say on that matter.
Yeah.
Please look back to previous episode of podcast.
Yeah, don't nick games that you don't own.
Yeah,
At least
and companies, if you don't want people to nick games they don't own, maybe give us a fucking way to buy those games.
Yeah, exactly. I paid £5 for fucking Star Wars Rogue Leader because I can't find that anywhere else, but I managed to find it at UK Games Expo. We will gladly pay you for shit. Just give it to us.
Now, don't get me wrong. I don't like showing Nintendo to be the bad guys a lot, but I think people have this general idea that Nintendo's your friend and attitude, and I'm like, no, they're really not. They sued. Don't forget, this is the same company that sued Blockbuster because they rented out your games back in the day.
Yeah. They have I'm just gonna say they've never been your friend. They are ruthless, absolutely ruthless.
Yeah, Nintendo are not your friend. They are a family-friendly company.
There's a difference.
There's a very clear difference.
They're family-friendly. They release products that are, acceptable for all ages. You can play them, on your own. You can play them with a child. You can play them as a family. They're not your friend, though. They're still a multi-billion-dollar company.
We saw that with the Mario thing as well.
Yes, I think that's a key example of that. Some announcements this month as well, which I actually want to get to. WWE 2K22 taking a year off because 2021 was never a thing. They released 2020, which was such a disaster that they then took a year out, and then made 2022, which also normally is released in the autumn, around about October, November time. Actually, is coming out about April, May next year. So that's about nearly 2 years without a version, which
that's good, actually.
It is good. However, as someone who is a fan of these wrestling games, I did look at that trailer and think, you took 2 years out. What have you done? Yeah, basically, that basically is my attitude. Is like, it looks shinier. but that's about all. I'm also seeing animations as well that I remember seeing in 2K19. I thought you said you were taking 2 years out to basically rebuild the game from the game up. Yeah. Basically, to me, it looks. I'm just going to put it out there, 2K. You're not giving me a lot of faith in this game because it makes it look like that you said you'd have 2 years off and you've not really done anything for those 2 years.
Yeah, I just like to briefly go back to Nintendo because I want to highlight what Burgess said. That's a strange way to pronounce money friendly.
Yes, precisely. They like your money.
Yes. Yeah.
The one game which really shocked me, which was announced last month, is a Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl.
That surprised a lot of people, and I'm down. I'm down for this. I want to see. I'm not a Nickelodeon kid. I'm more of a Cartoon Network person. But come on.
Yeah,
I want to see
a brawler that basically is Smash Brothers, but for the Nickelodeon characters. Especially
why not?
Yeah, why not? And especially as we just recently had the announcement that April O'Neil from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Cat Dog are appearing in it as well. I was like,
hell yes.
I feel like they should just release an Everybody's Here trailer and just get it done with. Just if they're gonna go all in. Horizon Forbidden West is delayed for February 18th, 2022. Sad, but hey, we don't want them to crunch. Very good thing that they are delaying, I think.
Yes.
Wait till the game.
Why can't you release it on PC at the same time, though?
We know what happens when they try and crunch games out in a very short time frame for whatever reasons. Cyberpunk.
Well, that's. Did you hear that it got its minimap fixed after 8 months? Just your reaction, Shadow.
Rip.
Yeah.
Rip.
Yes, that was that's not my. I don't take credit for that. I think that was PC Gamer's article title. 8 months later, after release, Cyberpunk's mini map has been fixed, which is like that pretty much sums up. It's kind of like the how you want it to go and how it's actually going. Kind of moment right there.
Something like that sounds like a day one kind of patch.
I have a you versus the guys you want you not to worry about.
Exactly. Now, I will say, and I know that Burr's in the chat furiously typing away, Cyberpunk is not a bad game. I've yet to play it, and actually I am going to be buying it. It's just a case that there's just so much out there right now that I think is much more worth my time than Cyberpunk is.
And we're waiting for the right price point.
I don't wait for the right... Well, yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I don't want to buy it full price. Which people might say, well, that's a bad thing. You're not supporting the games. It's like, yeah, but they're not really supporting me in the way they did. So
I'm going to buy it when it's worth the price they're asking for it.
Pretty much. The Metroid Dread latest trailer release revealing the nemesis of the new Chozo warrior related nemesis appearing. Cannot wait.
Shall we do a spoiler for that?
We're not going to talk about it too much. We're just gonna. I was gonna say it's coming out. It's looking good. I'm tentatively, potentially debating doing some Metroid streams leading up to the release and doing actually I've confirmed I will be doing Metroid Dread upon release. There's no question about that. I'll be doing a stream of Metroid Dread once that's released.
Be there. I want to see you play that.
Windows.
That won't be a stream that we won't be dreading.
Windows 11 has got a release date. It launches October 5th, so get those PCs are raring to go because, of course, you can, freely upgrade. Yeah,
that's a system that Microsoft have been going with over the past decade. Just like if you have the latest iteration of the operating system, they will basically say, "Yep, free upgrade if you want it."
Yep, which I'll be getting mine. Yeah. I will be getting mine as well.
I'll be letting it percolate for about a year.
Yeah, so long as they don't hit us with another Vista, I'll be okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm waiting a year.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna
let you guys.
I think I'm not gonna be doing it first day, but I'll definitely after a month check it out if it's looking good.
Yeah, without doubt.
Can
I interject with a piece of very crucial to me news?
Please.
Go ahead.
Konami did something right.
What Konami? What really?
Yeah.
Did they say we're getting out of the pachinko business?
I still have the pulse. It's okay.
Yeah, about a year ago, they finally released Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2 on GOG.
Oh.
Available for PC players. This was mass joy for everybody because we finally get to replay these games on PC. Brilliant. The only problem was the control schemes were shit.
I remember you saying.
You needed to install third-party mods to get them to work. In a post 4 days ago, GOG announced that they're updating the controller support for all Konami titles on GOG.
Woo! Fucking finally!
The Konami Collectors series, Castlevania and Contra, Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, and Silent Hill 4 The Room.
Can I add a tiny little asterisk to your news? Isn't that more like a GOG news than Konami?
Kinda, yeah. But, it is mostly GOG, yes. But still, Konami have allowed this to go ahead.
Oh, well done, Konami. You said yes, we'll allow it. Well done. Well fucking done.
This means that these patches to these games will allow modern controllers such as the Sony DualSense, Sony DualShock 4, Microsoft Xbox One and X and S controllers, and Nintendo Switch Pro controllers are all compatible.
Can you tell that I despise Konami?
Yeah, we could tell. Well, your claws are out.
That's fine. I liked one of their game series. It was called Metal Gear Solid. Then I found Castlevania, and it's like, oh, fuck, now I like two of their game series. Yes, Konami said, yes, we'll allow money. Pretty much.
Yeah. But so I am currently re-downloading Metal Gear Solid with the patch.
I'll have to buy that.
So I'll have to see how that goes on
Yeah,
Thursday.
let me find out about it first.
Good point. Good point, Shadow. Good point. I'll await your report, Lemming.
Yes, exactly. I will be broadcasting and reporting on this patch this coming Thursday.
Nice.
Yeah, don't trust Konami.
Never have, never will. Right, moving on to the next news article that I've got saved. South Korea, of all places, passes a law with major implications for Apple versus Epic, the country with the first to mandate alternative payment systems for iOS and other major platforms in what has got to be a big hit for Epic and their and Apple as well, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Basically, just a government mandating that a platform is not allowed to lock developers to a payment system.
Ha ha!
Well, we know if it all goes wrong, it'll end up being an epic fail.
This is why we keep you around.
Yes, taking a big bite of that apple.
That is literally what I called the that part of the article. It's like taking a bite of the apple.
Yeah.
This is only a good thing.
It can only be a good thing. It is just the only good thing that I can see.
Competition is good.
Yeah, exactly. And this is just going to be a case of, you companies trying to lock people into your ecosystems. Yeah, no, we're going to give people choice.
But saying,
the consumer has the choice.
Well,
I'm nervously touching the right.
Yes, I know, right?
Sweats nervously.
Okay. That valve guy better lose a bit of pressure. Right, so there's two more things to go over, one of which is kind of we want to finish on in terms of the news segment. The next one, which we're going to go for, is the Saints Row developers. Now, in case you guys didn't realize, Saints Row has been recently announced at Gamescom, which will go through the Gamescom general announcements very shortly, and I literally will just blast through them. They're not backing down over reboot criticism. So there's been some criticism over the reboot of Saints Row for it being a bit leaning on Fortnite's wall, which it doesn't really. I mean, its design is definitely more cartoony than realistic, but I don't. Thing is, I completely agree that if you don't like what Volition's making, that's fine. But at the same time, they're making the game they want to make, not necessarily the game that you want them to make.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people just want like either the third or the fourth game again. But this is a reboot. You're not going to get that.
Well, here's the problem. They tried doing that. And then we got Saints Row 4 and then Get Out of Hell, and they weren't exactly great games because they didn't innovate, really.
Yeah, there was nothing new to them.
Yeah, so I'm glad to see developers sticking up for themselves. I don't think it's right that developers should feel like they have to make the game that the community wants. Don't get me wrong. It's important to be in touch with the community and make sure the community wants what you want, what you're making. But at the same time, you don't want to compromise your vision just because people don't like what you've shown them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard balancing act. But it's when you've got to play a lot. The last thing I want to touch on before we go into the Gamescom announcements is the Twitch boycott. I'm not streaming tomorrow. No one here is streaming tomorrow.
Either. Nope.
So, as you may have noticed on Twitch, there's been an influx of bots causing problems with hate raids, as they're being called, and of course, IP stealing and other such things going on. Very serious stuff that Twitch, unfortunately, doesn't have the tools to deal with, which is not kind of their fault. They're limited in what they can do because, to be fair, even I don't know how to solve this problem. Although there are ways you can do it, but I guess implementing them is not as easy. At the same time, they're not reacting fast enough. The bots are being made faster than they can be banned, and this has become a problem now. And so, to show solidarity, the community is, and I say that the wider Twitch community has decided to boycott Twitch as of tomorrow. So there'll be no streams other than people who are contracted to stream tomorrow, of course.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah, please don't.
Please don't be a dick to people who are streaming, because what they might not be able to stop streaming. It might be in their contract that they have to.
Look,
and also some people might be using their platform to spread more awareness out of it on their stream, kind of thing. So don't be a fucking dick about it, okay?
And someone might be using these situations, the fact that there's not a lot of people streaming, to actually take advantage of that and get themselves big. while it may be a bit questionable morality-wise, you can't blame them
Can't
for
stop
using the
Twitch
tools.
Twitch is a very, very violent service to try and get big on.
Yeah.
So it's entirely understandable for people to go, all the big names aren't streaming. Now's my chance.
Yeah.
I'm not going to vilify them for that.
No.
I'm just not going to do it myself.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. Just, show respect to those that are streaming because you don't know why they are streaming. Just be aware. If you want to highlight that it's not Stream Tuesday, then you can. Just don't be a dick about it to them.
Yeah.
Just
don't be a dick in general.
Yeah.
But especially just not at that time.
Yeah.
It's not great.
So yeah.
I mean, then something needs to be done because every time we get new followers now, we don't know who they are.
Yeah.
I
was sus.
As a mod for 3 channels, I'm immediately looking at that and thinking, is that a bot? And then I immediately go onto Twitter to try and find out if people are passing notes around about these people.
Exactly.
We should not be doing.
We should not be doing that. That's just beyond what we could do.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like we a couple of the groups I moderate for, a couple of the communities, mostly Tarkov based, are having inter-community discussions on how to deal with this increasing bot problem.
Yeah, no, I think I challenged somebody on Weird Stream because I made a flippant joke, just if you were a bot, you can stay, and they must have they took that wrong, I think. And
was that your stream the other night as well, Al? With the
there was someone who very kindly subbed. In fact, I will grab their name now because they were awesome.
Oh yeah, I think that was the person. No, that must have been the person I challenged.
Willbuster3636, who subscribed 3 days ago at tier 1, very kindly subbed in an effort to prove that he wasn't a bot, which that was not what we were asking for.
Yeah,
it was very, very kind of him to sub, and it's help, but still, we shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be asking these questions.
Yeah, no. Yeah. If they're watching the stream right now, I apologize. I really didn't mean it an aggressive way. I meant it in a funny way. But of course, hard to tell tone over text communication. So I'm sorry for that. I didn't mean to challenge you to the fact that you had to sub in order to.
And I'll be quite honest. This has made me think. Do you know what? If this doesn't get cleared up soon, I might jump ship to YouTube.
Speaking of which, there's another piece of news for me to bring up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Popular streamer Dr. Lupo, who on Twitch has 4.5 million followers, has made the switch to YouTube.
Oh dear.
First casualty.
First casualty. Yeah. Dr. Lupo, massive Escape from Tarkov streamer. He has streamed it since 2020. And has been, made a name for himself. He has 1.9 million followers on Twitter. He has, all those followers on Twitch. He has 1.7 million subscribers on YouTube now. But in a pro move, well done Twitch on this fact. For current Dr. Lupo subscribers, redeem a one-time free 1-month tier 1 subscription to any channel where you're not currently a subscriber.
Oh, that's quite nice of them.
That's very nice of them.
So they understand that people are losing out on their sub because he's no longer streaming on the platform. So they're giving those people a free one-time sub to anybody. So fair play, well done.
All right, let's move on finally to Gamescom. Doctor, you and Burr have been doing some research on games that have been announced at Gamescom, and there's been a hell of a lot announced at Gamescom. Take us through. What's some picks that you kind of saw out there that you kind of liked?
Well, the only sort of correction I'm going to make to that before we get started is actually it's all Burr's work. He collated it all. Obviously, I'm the one presenting it, so I'm going to take a very, very, very small amount of credit for this list. There's quite a lot of stuff on here. Apparently, there was a lot more than what's on this list in front of me, and it's
this is just our curated list, and even that is long.
Yeah, no, I remember we saw a bit of the opening ceremony, I think, or something like that for Gamescom. There was a lot there.
But yeah, so some of the stuff that has come up. There's the Lego Skywalker Saga.
Yes.
Finally has a release date.
Yeah, due to be coming in spring 22, so 6 months ish.
At this point, you'll probably have a new Games Blast reward at this point.
Bloody hell, yeah. We can double it up. Do 2 streams.
So it's big, huge list here. Have I got both of them up here, and I closed the wrong one? I can't remember. For me, obviously, if people do watch me, they know that obviously, and you also saw there is a wheel behind me. It's kind of where part one of the mine is going with this. There is a Alaskan truck simulator. The reason why it's come under my attention is the fact of it's not the same company, I don't believe, that makes the one that I play. And it requires more RAM. So Muggins here will definitely not be playing that for a while. So that's where it came on my radar. Is like, say they've actually got American Truck Simulator, so Alaska is not too far away from them to be able to do it. They could put that one as a potential future thing, but the way they do in the States for America, it's going to take a while to get even near to the point of finishing all the states. So
yeah,
wait and see. So that's obviously come up. One of the things I did notice in here, which I think from what I could remember from my notes came out today, was was it Manhunter DLC?
Ah, yes, Manhunter True Quest come out today. Yes, I will be picking that up.
Yeah, I should, but but my copy's on the Epic Game Store, and I just don't want to push it with a barge pole.
That's fair.
And so the last one that I'm going to sort of flag up here is Balsa Model Flight Simulator. Now, you might get the idea of thinking, well, you've got a flight simulator game already out, but this is made by the guys who created Kerbal Space Program, so it's going to be goofy, fun, stuff like that anyway. I had a sort of like look at about like 20 seconds of the start of the thing, and I'm like, yep, I might get that.
Yeah, and that's just a few shortlists. Of course, there was Saints Row mentioned earlier, Midnight Suns, Warhammer 40k, Chaos Gate, Demon Hunters,
Jurassic World Evolution 2,
Serial Cleaners, Roots of Pacha, Evil, which is a multiplayer social deduction game set in with medieval settings, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge, a classic 16-bit side-scrolling beat 'em up. Yes, I am all in. Solstice, Imp of the Sun. There's so much that was announced at Gamescom. It's ridiculous. There's an entire website where they literally just put the games on there which have been announced, and you can see each and every trailer. Go onto Gamescom, search it up, and look at it, because there's just a ton of new things. Oh yes, and April O'Neil playable in that side scroll as well. April O'Neil is a playable character in most games. Who would have thought?
Yeah, no, I found like that's the good thing about Gamescom is there's a shit ton of indie games kind of like, and also with all these indie games being announced, like a load more demos have appeared on Steam. So if you wanna try some of these games out, I would highly recommend going through them and trying to find some demos and downloading them to see if they're your cup of tea. Because I have quite a few on my hard drive right now. So.
Lost Judgment, which of course was the Yakuza spin-off that everyone was really interested in. Park Beyond, which is the super crazy park simulator where you can make crazy rides that are impossible, like roller coasters that actually jump from one path to another and things like that. Crazy stuff. Highly recommend. That's definitely got my attention, because as a park,
that's got my attention.
Go check it out. It's called Park Beyond. It's a great looking game where basically think of like a Ferris wheel, but like attached to multiple Ferris wheels. It's basically, imagine rides that would just be too crazy or insane to actually create and impossible to conceive.
Or they can't be built because the law of physics.
Laws of physics. Yeah, exactly.
I put a link in the chat for the direct feed to where all the games are for Gamescom, so head over there.
There's so much to look through. Make sure you've got a good couple of hours just to sift through, because you'll be picking videos and thinking, oh, I want to check that out, and you'll be told trailer after trailer after trailer. I highly recommend it. Also, great job, Gamescom. That's how you do a conference. You present the games, and then you give people a site just to like, here's everything.
Yeah, when we were watching the opening ceremony, that's what I really loved about it, that you could just go and browse through all these games kind of thing. It's just like, I need that, because it's so hard sometimes, especially with like loads of games like they were announcing, that it's really easy for them to get lost in the shuffle. So, and even wrap-ups can miss like one or two. So, good on you. Do that again, my dudes.
Absolutely. Go check this out. It's you got all sorts in there, like Chivalry 2, Jumanji, To the Rescue Dog Simulator, Cat Manager, Reshaping Mars, Skyfleet,
There's an Asterix and Obelix game in there, guys.
all kinds of stuff. And of course, you've got your normal things like Far Cry 6, Forza Horizons, Assassin's Creed Valhalla for some reason, which I think is really on the DLC. Pretty much any game that was talked about with any kind of length at Gamescom has a section on there. Go check it out. It's a great resource for seeing what was announced. I highly recommend it. And also, every gaming event going forward, you need something like this.
Yes.
And with that, that kind of brings the news section of the podcast to a close after going through that for the last hour and 40 minutes. Day 2 is actually 2 hours of trailers. Let's move on to what is going to be our topic for today, which is going to be going for the next 40 minutes, which is, I'm going to basically put on here now. Oh, that's chat. It is suits versus developers.
It's gonna go well.
the one battle no one wanted to see. Basically, the topic of discussion is essentially where some games have an issue where their development is interfered with quite a lot, either a little bit or quite a lot, and that can often lead to a much lesser product than what was originally envisioned, either because the budget was cut, because someone deemed that it was too over budget, or the fact that that there was a disagreement between the publishers and the developers in terms of what they should do. So we're going to be talking about this and such. One thing I did want to bring up before we go on to that as well, Doctor, you also had some news yourself you wanted to bring up as well.
Is this the big bit of news that I've been doing myself the last couple of weeks?
So before we go on to the Suits Fest developers, that's a bit of personal news from Doctor.
So obviously, as we sort of alluded to partway sort of through this, obviously me and EBAC, I drift in sometimes going with EBAC, sometimes I go with, it's just the way my brain works. It's very, very difficult sometimes to.
I mean, I very rarely call Weird by his real name these days, even though
exactly
you get into a habit.
Y'all don't know my real name.
I do. I think.
It's Lemming Sus, right?
You guys don't know mine. Well, he does, but.
But obviously, I love playing my tabletop games. We had it's in fact sort of a smallish community, sort of locally, didn't we, with our X-Wing stuff? It's but obviously, say like the last thing I remember us doing X-Wing wise was basically we went to a System Open in February last year. So like
feels like 10 years ago, man.
Exactly.
What is time?
Exactly. But after that, we kind of really didn't play anything for a very long while, and I've started to brave myself back into the wider world, which is kind of it's kind of obviously scary because obviously you say people may have known through obviously potentially mentioning it here or whatever that obviously I did catch COVID at the start of the year, so it's kind of obviously a bit of a brave thing obviously on my side of things, but say it's been very tricky obviously the 10 the last year and a half, near enough say that with a near enough pinpoint now, can't we, that it's obviously one of those things is when you sort of spend a lot of time by yourself, sort of isolating by yourself, and it's nice to actually sort of obviously go back out and sort of meet up with people. Ironically, as I say that, I've noticed James has put a message in there because me and James actually had a game of Marvel Champions, a game that these guys can't seem to get away with, and we're mentioning at least once a week.
I remember I sent you a picture of like Marvel Champions stuff I found on UK Games Expo. I mean, I'd already tortured EBAC with the X-Wing stuff. So
and there's far more of that than Marvel Champions.
Like there's dice that you really wanted and couldn't get hold of.
God, yes.
But no, sort of it's sort of been nice for me as well because it's sort of one of those things that obviously you kind of miss. Say the fortunate thing with say like Marvel Champions, it's one of those games that you can play solo. It's implemented in the sort of structure of the game because they do basically a number of players as a effectively unit cost. So they do an X amount per player as their shake up. Which means obviously say it's one of those games that you can play solo. There's quite a lot of games that you think, so like Warhammer can't play because it's 2 players. Can't play X-Wing by yourself because you're going to have 50% of the information because you're going to know what the other half of the table is going to do if you're trying to play it solo. It's one of those things. It's quite nice to be able to obviously say get out and it's obviously enjoy time with the community because it's something that I have missed quite a lot. And in fact, one of the last things I actually did was I actually went to a board game meetup with James and Weird, kind of with a sort of like obviously one of those promises of like, yeah, I'll come back to more, and then like about a week or two later, lockdown. That went out the window.
Yes.
Well, I'm looking forward because I'm back at the theater playing X-Wing this coming Sunday, so I'm looking forward to that. It'll be my little excursion out for the first time ever. I'm glad we were getting back into the world, man, and also that you and James had a good time playing Marvel Champions.
Yeah. It's going to be obviously it's one of those things. I think you'll find it sort of strange as well the first time, but it's one of those things. It's that nice thing to sort of obviously being able to spend time with people again after so long not being able to do so. Like if things had been a bit of a better state, I might have half considered going to the Games Expo this year. But with a lot of stuff that was going on with myself, that would never would have happened. It wouldn't have worked itself out. But hopefully, all being well, next year.
Yeah. I just realized the other day that I'm like, I should actually buy tickets for it, shouldn't I?
What, for the Games Expo? I don't think they're out yet.
Oh, fair enough.
I don't think they've been really. They've announced the dates, but they've not released tickets. Yeah, I was gonna say like going to the UK Games Expo and meeting like Weird and James and Diver and his friend Ollie, like you don't realize how much you've missed that kind of interaction until you're actually there. Like for me, there could have been no expo. So long as I was with those guys, that was all that mattered. And literally, that's all that's going to matter next year. It's just like, so long as I can see and talk to you guys again, like in person, that'll, like, everything else is a bonus. Everything else is just a beautiful bonus kind of thing. And we're planning quite a lot. So.
We are. I'm making a bit of a holiday of it for myself. I've taken,
me too.
I've taken 2 weeks off work, and in the middle of that will be Games Expo and a trip down to Birmingham, which is going to be lovely.
Yeah,
Might have to start actually planning.
Come out in December. Okay, thanks, James.
Cheers, thanks for that, James.
Cool.
Yeah, we will be on that. Yeah,
I was going to say there's certain other people that we know. We'll probably be on that in a second. Tickets are coming out.
Definitely, yeah.
I that's gonna be my holiday for next year. It's just gonna be like amazing.
Yeah, we've got approved and everything from work, so it's all happening. As long as I get my ride with him, and as long as my hotel is paid for, which hopefully should be by that time I go down, it'll all be happening. I can't wait. I cannot wait to be down there.
Oh my god, yes. I want to see you, Ivan.
Yes, I know. I want to see you guys as well. Shall we crack on with the discussion then of the topic?
Let's go back into depression.
Well, the one that really kind of, I think it's very, it's not depressing, but it's not a good subject to talk about. But I think it's important that we kind of analyze this because there are clear times when developers develop, but then certain people who shall we say aren't developers get involved. The one I often comment on is Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yes.
It's a good game. It's a good game until someone decided, like, let's put some monetization in there a little bit, shall we? Let's put a cookie jar in there, and unfortunately,
someone in the back office is going, "Hey, the game will sell better if you do this."
Yeah, basically, you have developers making a game that's fun versus a corporation that wants to make money from that game.
Money.
But not just money. They want to make a recurring.
All the money.
They want to make all the money. They need to make a constant engagement money from people, which is a problem with the industry. We've discussed to no end at all.
Yes. We were. This was going to be the topic of discussion last time, but Activision Blizzard had to be completely fucking terrible. So
But
we
they
had to
did
push it back.
they did provide their own example though in the form of Warcraft Reforged.
Yes, indeedy so.
Yeah. Now, as our resident Warcraft expert, Shadow,
Oh god.
Um,
Kev,
just pull the thing up.
so effectively, there was a lot of promises made because I have to admit, I am a big fan of Warcraft 3, and I actually did have my eyes on Reforged until, and there was a lot of promises made in terms of the grand scope of the game that then ended up being dialed back until the game was effectively just a graphical remaster without very much else done, which is not a bad thing, but it's a bad thing when you promise the world and then deliver an island, you know?
Yes, indeed. Yes. Like you, I was like kind of excited for this because I picked up Warcraft. I'd never played Warcraft 3 in its original, like when it was big kind of thing. And I picked up Warcraft 3 and its expansion when it was coming out from, like, when they do those little best series from Sierra and stuff like that.
Oh
They
yeah.
compile it into those like gold edition things. I got one of those. I lost the fucking CD key for Warcraft 3 now because I'm an idiot. And so when I saw that Warcraft, when Reforged was coming out, and it was basically like, I was like, oh cool, I can actually get into this again, and maybe I can actually play an RTS properly instead of the usual way I play it, which is just like, I like building things. It's kind of like building things with extra guns. But yeah, and one of the selling points for Warcraft Reforged was that they were going to change some of the cutscenes from their original inclinations to things that much better fit the lore in World of Warcraft at the time, which everybody was kind of like, "Oh, that's cool. That's pretty neat."
Good old retroactive continuity.
Yeah, and the problem with Blizzard is it's not very good. It's not very good. like I'm not gonna lie, I have like lore books in the other room, and they were basically like, yeah, we're gonna make the chronicle, which is gonna document everything that's happened in the Warcraft world so far, and it's gonna be the definitive like lore thing. Immediately fucking retconned it with the next patch, and we were just like, no, because they were like, well, demons can only be killed in, I'll go on a tangent. Let me go on a tangent. Demons can only be killed in the twisting. Like, if you kill them in the real world, their souls get thrown back into the twisting nether. The only way to kill a demon is to kill them in the twisting nether. And then it was basically like, oh, but if you go to Argus and you kill a demon on Argus, they die permanently. And it was just like, well, that's not. You literally just. So yeah. Warcraft, like, Blizzard has not had it not very good for retcons, but
Well,
so
I actually I can't blame them in that because whenever something has gone on for so long, you're always going to have problems with continuity. But please continue.
yeah. So as Ebek says, they promised a shit ton. The company promised over 4 hours of updated in-game cutscenes and re-recorded voiceovers. That's great. That's really good, and a lot of people were excited, myself and Ebek included. Unfortunately, they didn't get the budget that they needed.
Yeah, their budget was severely cut back, and also their team was cut down midway through, wasn't it? From what I recall in the article that we read back when this became real, because all this shit show with Activision Blizzard revealed a lot of information about how much it was a corporate decision to basically cut out a lot of stuff from this.
Yeah, and it's like, if anybody's wondering what I'm reading from, I've made notes from the Bloomberg article that Jason Schreier made about the nonsense that happened with Warcraft 3 4. So if it sounds like I'm reading off bullet points, I kind of am, because I had to make these notes, because Bloomberg, I swear to God, stop. Like, I understand why you're paywalling your articles, but it's very, very annoying. So, the problem with the remake is that, well, everybody knows what the problem with the remake is, but it's especially awful. Like, it even lacks features that the original Warcraft 3 had contained in 2002, such as a ladder system that ranked competitive players. And they also disabled the original game on the digital platform, so that's the only thing you can play, and they
Yeah.
still haven't fixed it.
So the original Warcraft 3 is now gone. Which,
Yeah.
if you want to know my thoughts on that, cite back to episode 3 of the Common Debts podcast. We talked about preservation in gaming. You know,
Yeah, Reforged was rescoped due to budget cuts and also they had lots of internal arguments about the game's direction.
yeah, there was a lot of discussion about whether it should be a remake or a remaster or a reimagining, I think is what it was.
Yes.
Did we just do the podcast equivalent of as per my previous email?
Yes.
Yeah, the issue with that is it sounds like they started this project without a clear goal of what they wanted.
No.
And they didn't bother nailing that down. For example, if I look at my wall, another Activision game, which I know we're not exactly highlighting those because of what's going on, but still, Spyro Reignited, that is definitively a remaster. It is exactly the same game, just with updated visuals and the mechanics mostly are exactly as they are. It's not reimagined. Whereas Resident Evil 2 Remake is a full-on remake. It holds the spirit of the original, but is an entirely new game in the way it plays out mechanically and even the story beats that happen.
Yes.
Without having that discussion, I think severely scuppered things at the start, which that was mismanagement from the start.
Yeah, and the thing was they were interfered with by Activision. There's like interviews are sort of hinting at that kind of thing. And small games like classic games, which was working on Reforged, they were all but ignored in favor of potential billion-dollar games like Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2. Blizzard even cancelled some of its other projects in favor of the proven hits. I no. And the reason they chose to plow ahead with the premature release of Warcraft 3 was largely because it had already taken pre-orders, pretty much, and they couldn't bump the game back too much without potentially being forced to send out refunds and risking that fans wouldn't buy that game again. Oh,
Yeah,
like,
it's a mess.
what was it that Shigeru Miyamoto said, that a delayed game is eventually good? Except for Cyberpunk, but they actually needed to delay the game more.
Yeah, delayed games are actually good. Lemming. Sorry, carry on, but carry on there, Shadow.
In the beginning, the Classics game had ambitious plans. Through 2017 and 18, they revamped the game's script and re-recorded all the dialogue. Goal was to rewrite scenes and flesh out characters to align them with World of Warcraft's lore, as I already mentioned. David Fried, I think that's Fried, the designer on the original Warcraft 3, was briefly brought back to walk back and Reforged, and he said that there were things in the works for it that would have absolutely revitalized the classic game. However, members of the team began to worry that they promised more than they were able to deliver. Remastering Warcraft 3 was much more complex than StarCraft, for obvious reasons. They'd managed to do the culling of Stratholme, but this was one map. This is one map and one cutscene, and there are a lot many. Like, the amount of work to do was daunting. It had taken months for one level, and there were dozens more. Morale plummeted. The head of Classic Games, Rod Bridenbecker, allegedly had an aggressive managerial style. Took 3 good trips out to the country during production, and so he was out of contact when they needed him. And he had a tendency to give unrealistic deadlines. So miscommunication became a serious issue. Plus, as you mentioned, lots of arguments over scope and art style. We have developers who've dealt with exhaustion, anxiety, depression, and for more than a year now. Many have lost trust in the team and this company. Players have also lost trust, and the launch certainly didn't help an already rough year for the Blizzard's image. Lots of people were trying to do multiple jobs at once, working nights and weekends to try and finish the game. Technological obstacles and conflicts among the team exacerbated problems. The mass layoff in February 2019 that hollowed out Blizzard's support department also took the Classics game team out. So they was the teams like and eventually management threw out revised scripts and re-recordings that were done to Reforge and that stuck to original dialogue and voice acting. So that shit was done. That shit was done for it, and it just gone. Just all that work was just Freed departed the project. It was rescoped and blamed Activision. I'm deeply disappointed that Activision would actively work against the interests of all players in the manner that they did. He added it was quite telling that Mike Morhaime resigned weeks before Reforged was presented at November 2018 BlizzCon. There's a lot of blaming of executives. Leadership seemed totally out of touch with the velocity and scope of the project until extremely late in development. Senior voices in the department warned leadership about the impending disaster of Warcraft on several occasions over the last year or so, but were ignored. By the end of 2019, the Classic Games team brought in help from all across Blizzard to finish Reforged, but of course, as we know, it didn't happen. Usually there's a launch party celebration. Instead, the team spent most of the time just wincing in anticipation because they knew it was going to be a shit show.
Absolutely.
Blizzard vowed to patch and update Reforged, but progress is slow. Groups of fans have been writing their own patches, building a service called Warcraft 3 Champions to add back missing features. This includes a cooperative ladder. A member of the Champions team says, "We have a level of freedom that Blizzard could never have." A Blizzard spokesman said the company has a new team dedicated to updating Warcraft 3 Reforged with improvements. In these efforts, we realize our work and actions will speak louder than our words. Year and a half after launch, Reforged remains incomplete and the brand is damaged completely.
Yeah.
It's such a shame. It had such good... I mean, and this is something which people think, well, that was just Reforged. It happens all the time. Lemming, key example for us is Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yep.
You know, because
we will never see the true ending of that game.
We'll never see the true ending because effectively Hideo Kojima was taking a long time making it. The Konami got pissed off that it was taking so long and said, "Okay, it's now finished. Get the fuck out. We're releasing it," even though it wasn't finished.
Nope.
And that's
exactly it's a personification of the meme that everybody's seen. That cute little comic of "Please throw the ball, no take, only throw," with the dog grabbing the ball. It's like, "No, I want you to throw it, but I don't want you to take it off me." And
no take, only throw.
Yeah, this is the developer going, "Money? No money, only game. Make game. We need money. No money. Make game." Like, we can't do everything unless you give us what we need. And what we need is money and time.
And that's the unfortunate thing, is Metal Gear Solid 5 will forever be marred as a game that is not finished and will never see the true ending because Konami weren't willing to invest the remaining time and money necessary to finish its development. And that forever has harmed the Metal Gear Solid brand.
Yeah, I mean, Metal Gear Solid is a legendary gaming brand. You know, Konami have a lock on that series that they are never going to let anybody else have a go with. Even though, you know, it was birthed by Hideo Kojima, who a lot of people think of as like a game writing genius, more like a game writing like
madman
genius, madman.
He's mad, but he's a brilliant madman.
Yeah, exactly. He writes a compelling insanity, and that's a beautiful thing. But if you've got somebody like that writing something for you, you let him finish it.
Yeah, you don't exactly say to Michelangelo, just quickly finish up the Sistine, it's fine. You know, no, you let the artist work, you know?
Yeah, you let him do his job. If you'd let Kojima do his job, you would have, you know, give him the time he needed on the whatever budget you set. You give him that budget, you give him the time he needs to do it, he and his entire team, to complete the project before you even consider going, yeah, we've got Metal Gear Solid game on the way.
I've just thought of a nice
analogy. Y'all hadn't said a thing.
I just thought of an analogy. Sorry, Karen.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I've said it. If you hadn't said a thing about the game coming out, nobody would have known, and you would have had all the time in the world.
I just set a nice analogy for myself, which is, if I ever want to describe what I think of corporate gaming today, which is basically, you know, Call of Duty. Which, bear in mind, Call of Duty is not a bad game. It's just that it's very sterile in the way it's presented. Forgive me, Doctor. Forgive me. I would say those kind of games and Fortnite and the such are like saying to Michelangelo, "You're the greatest painter of our time in the world. Fine. Here's a tin of grey paint. Paint my fucking ceiling for me." You know,
yes.
You're not making use of the artistic resources available to yourself.
Yes, and
you have access to artists. You have access to visionaries of the creative art, and you are saying, "Yeah, remake this game."
Yeah, and it's
you
not
repaint this thing that you've done 100 times.
Yeah, and it's not just something that's restrained to just game dev, it's also game announcements and stuff like that. Because one of the just to crack Pandora's box open just a little tiny bit so we could pull a little thing out. This story comes from Datini, I think. I don't know how to pronounce his username. My apologies. But they worked as customer service and also a little bit on Diablo Immortal. Remember when that blew up, guys?
Oh yeah, that
So
was a
you
thing.
guys have phones, so yeah, they have a little bit on this, and apparently they knew it was going to go down like a shit sandwich with the community, and of course, Activision was basically like, "Nah, just do it, folks." Because this person had worked with the customer service for quite some time, they know what the community is like. They've got their fingers on the pulse, and they knew uh I quote from them: "I pitched and championed this video at the Future Diablo video, as well as wrote the original script because I was extremely in tune with the community and confident what the reception would be. Every step of the way, this approach was questioned. Every step of the way, the script was changed until it was unrecognizable because leadership, particularly Activision and their obsession with investors, did not want to give up the surprise that Diablo 4 was being worked on. Never mind the fact that there were already plenty of clues that this was the case, like the unannounced Diablo title, job listings on the website. Eventually, we landed on the video that went out, which just wasn't sufficient, and spokespeople like myself and the Immortal team were hung out to dry at BlizzCon. I can't speak for the experience of others, but in regards to myself, I went to therapy specifically from that BlizzCon experience. I handled the Q&A line that year. I was crowded and ganged up on by angry and upset fans. Security was not there to help me. I was on my own. Developers were able to exit safely via backstage. I was vulnerable on the show floor amidst the crowd of attendees. I knew this reaction was coming and I deeply empathized with them, but I still hoped for the best and tried to be available to a very hurt and frustrated community. Instead, I was still harassed until I called in friends to escort me from the show floor. There was no support, and then it's just like basically BlizzCon just a piece of Blizzard just being a piece of
bad,
shit.
but gamers, chill the fuck out, all right? You know,
Yeah.
that person didn't deserve that.
Yes. I'm trying to see if there's any. I think that's the only bit I can find of basically Diablo.
Misuse,
but
misuse of talent is a major problem.
Yeah, the fact that Activision was just it's been for a long time, especially in the WoW community that of course I've been a part of for a long period of time. A lot every time there's been a problem with WoW, everybody's gone, "Oh, it's Activision's Activision's fault. It's Activision doing something to Blizzard." And a lot of times it's been like, "No, we're completely on our own. We're there's no corporate interference." But this just proves it. They have been there the entire time. Activision have been putting their claws deeper and deeper and deeper in to say, "We want this to make money. We need this to make money." And it's just like, well, but this can make money because our fans. It's just like, no, you make the thing that we tell you to do, kind of thing, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Doctor, do you have anything to weigh in on this? Like any kind of things which you think about in that respect?
I was thinking, something sort of. I know it's not. I'm thinking more the first point we're on rather than necessarily this one, though. Ironically, I'm going to mention that game we were talking about a minute ago because there was a recent release, which is the Mad Titan Shadow. Now, the obvious hint is the Mad Titan is only going to be one person, and that's Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
The game has on the front, it's a big box scenario. There's normally 5 scenarios. Bear that in mind when I tell you that on the box there is Ebony Maw, Corvus Glaive, Proxima Midnight, and Thanos.
Right.
Now, your first thought is, but there's only 4 villains. How is there going to be 5 scenarios? Now, apparently, the developers, obviously Fantasy Flight, this actually came up on their Q&A on their stream they did last week, was basically they took this whole idea to the sort of further up the chain, and basically went, but it's the Mad Titan box. Everyone's going to expect Thanos as the last villain. Do something different. And basically, they've put Thanos in the middle, and 2 Asgardian villains have become scenario 4 and 5. And it's like, but they're not actually mentioned on the box at all. So it's completely an unseen thing. It's actually, you see it obviously in the box for the first time. It's like, at what point in the development cycle did that come in? Because if it came in early enough, surely they could have done some retconning and put it on the box.
Yeah, I think that's more an issue with like design chain, because design happens over a long period of time. I just mean in terms of like developers, or what seems to be the corporate side development getting involved in the publishing and development of games. Like,
Yeah, I think sort of at that point though, you get to that point where you're sort of micromanaging everything, and you're asking for trouble when you're getting, your people at the top, putting their hands on everything because they've got a direction they want to push it. Like say, obviously most of the time it's they need the game to sell well or sell well and make a lot of money, whether you call it loot boxes or whatever, because they've got loads of shareholders that they need to help. So it's kind of
and
never-ending circle.
that what it comes down to. You've got these artists making art, and on the other side, the people who are paying these artists are the people who don't care about the art; they just care about making the money.
They care about the bottom line. You've got that whole thing there where you've got the people who can invest the time, money, and love into the game aren't necessarily the same people who understand that if you take the time, it's going to make more than you trying to rush it. And they just look at the big picture. They want everything out now because they're going to try and beat X or Y, developer to get their game out first, so they can try and hit the hype before that game comes out.
I just had a question come to mind for all of you. Haven't you always noticed that it's always the same way?
Yep.
And the fact that whenever there needs to be a compromise, it's never the artists that are given the benefit of the doubt, or the idea of like, oh, we'll just give you more money and make sure it comes out right, or the shadows that are placated. No, it's always the artists that are the ones that have to compromise.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's always it's the man who's worrying about his bottom line and the inside of his wallet that always has to be the one that makes the decisions.
The wallet seems to be clasped shut in most circumstances.
I think the only things that are sort of different in that is when you've got the sort of like you take Tesla as the example, right? I'm just trying to use this as the point. Is the fact of that company was Elon Musk and is Elon Musk. It's the whole he created that from the ground up, rather than you've got people who are directors for a certain amount of time. Something happens, they go. Somebody else comes in. They need to try and make as much money as they can before they go on to something else. And it's like, but then you're taking a step back. Whereas you've got somebody obviously involved in a company from day one, and it's going to get all the love and attention it requires to build something, rather than look at the financial figures at the end of the year, or we need to meet this sales target, we need to meet this deadline, we need to get this amount of it's that kind of thing. It's that, I think that's that difference though, isn't it? When you've got a company that's existed for such a long time, you've got new developers coming in trying to make a quick buck for themselves in the shortfall.
Yeah, Shadow? You muted.
You muted.
I had a thought while I was eating. One of the big problem, like one example that popped into my head, Mass Effect 3.
I think Burr mentioned that in the chat.
The From Ashes DLC, the story DLC with the character that was well, it wasn't crucial, but a big story impact from that single character, and it was sold off as DLC.
Yeah,
and I
day one DLC locked away behind a paywall.
Yeah, and it's not just a little tiny DLC like the Citadel DLC that you can just sort of put on and take off again. No, because Jarvik had loads and loads of dialogue for for a shit ton of missions and stuff.
He
like
basically was a party member that was in the main game, just plucked out for the purpose of selling his DLC.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
All
And
marketed
itself
on
was-
the marketing on the fact that it's a Prothean. You get to play with a Prothean. You want that, don't you? You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I think
you
that
know the developers, the actual studio was going, this is crucial. This is a masterpiece portion of the game. And then it's the like directors, it's the board of directors, it's the what's the word, executives going, yeah, but money,
Yeah,
cut
EA's
that
just
thing-
like, but we can get the money though. Even though there's loot boxes in the multiplayer game, we can make more money though.
Mm.
I just don't like
And
it.
that's where,
Yeah.
when you have people whose entire purpose is running a company and earning money, and they don't physically care how that money is made,
You get
that's
Activision
where the
Blizzard.
problem is. Yeah, you get Activision Blizzard.
You get Activision Blizzard, you get your
corporate-
AAs, you get your Konamis, you know.
Yeah, you get you get corporate-built video games, in which case, all the orders are coming from up top. They think they know what we, the consumer want, but we know what we want, and it ain't that.
Even to a degree, Nintendo is a bit corporate in that respect.
Yeah.
Because key example is the All Stars collection.
Oh yes.
That clearly was a corporate decision right there.
Isn't Pac-Man going the same way? That
Is it?
I think so. I thought.
The Pac-Man 99. Yes, the Pac-Man 99 is going the same way. I'm more thinking in the general that you got a corporate entity that is Nintendo, and they make good games and they make good decisions with those games, and they don't monetize the shit out of them, but they do have questionable areas within the way they do business.
Yes.
Yep. The way they interact with the community that plays their games, the people who are do free advertising for them by creating video content and fan art and stuff, and like, nope, we want that money. You made that content, yes, but sign this deal. We'll give some of your money back to you, but not all of it. We're keeping the rest of it.
That's shit show.
Yeah, and also, has there ever been a big sale on the big titles on
Nope.
on Nintendo
Nope.
games? I don't think so.
Nintendo games do not depreciate.
They don't.
If a Nintendo game was worth $50 when it first came out, and it is a first-party title, it is still worth $50 now, a decade later.
Let's test this theory.
Oh, we're gonna play. Can we guess what the price is?
Can we guess what is the price right?
I managed to guess Breath of the Wild one time. I was astonished.
Yes, this is the podcast version of This Is Not the Price Is Right.
Yeah, this is the Price Is Right, because you to get as close to
and it's fucking high.
The Price Is Right, and also it's the depressing part of The Price Is Right.
Yep.
So the Price Is Right.
Welcome to the House of Fun.
Of course, it would be The Price Is Right if the actual web store loads. There we go. It heard me clearly. Right then. So, name me the Nintendo game, people.
What was that that Yoshi's game? Was it like Woolly World or something?
A good choice, given the fact that no one really fucking cares about it. With all respect.
Wow.
I love it, and I love the look of the game. I just a lot of people.
Dude's right. Dude's right.
Yeah, to be fair, who thought, I'm gonna buy a Switch for Yoshi's Crafted World?
It's a cute game.
It's a cute game. I'm not debating that's a good game. It's just it's more the fact that when you think of the Switch, you think Breath of the Wild, you think Super Mario Odyssey. Okay, how much do we think?
Let's start easy.
Yeah, Yoshi's Crafted World. Let's go let's go around, Doctor.
Because
for context, yes. Now for context, it was 29th of March, 2019.
45 quid, because it's got Yoshi in the title. It's going to be a.
We have 45 quid and Lemming.
I'm going with 50 quid because it's a first-party Nintendo title that was released within the last decade.
We have 50 quid and Shadow.
$39.99.
and 99. Well, I can of course reveal that the price is indeed right for Lemming at $49.99. $49.99. Didn't you do well?
They're Nintendo games. They don't depreciate. They don't lower the prices.
And in case you don't believe me, there it is. $49.99.
I didn't think it would be that. I knew it would be high, but not that. Fucking hell.
It's a Nintendo first-party game. Doesn't matter how big or low profile it is. It stays at 50 quid and doesn't change.
Give us Sword and Shield, like, with the DLC.
With the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, so included in the price, or is like separate entities as well, or
included in the price? I think that should be the default option now. But
okay.
We'll see.
In that case, I'm gonna have to do a bit of math here and add them together. That's fine. Okay.
That's my topic.
Because there's not a bundle for them. Funny enough.
Is there not? I thought there was. I thought it was included now.
I can't see them, and it's not included in the base game. You still have to buy the two separately.
Well, that's shite.
Oh no, there is. Oh no, there is the one with the expansion pass bundle. Okay, let's do this then. Let's do it. So, Doctor, Pokemon Sword and Shield with the expansion.
Hang on. You can't just
Hey, don't
ping it on me
cheat.
like that.
Don't cheat. No. Yeah, don't cheat.
Yeah, don't cheat. Don't cheat. That's not what this is all about. Don't cheat.
No, I think you're gonna ask me to put it all together in a bundle. Is
No,
my point.
it's like no, it's just do the price, damn it.
Yeah, do the price. What do you think? So, for a DLC campaign with the base game, what do you think? Is it higher or lower?
It's gonna be higher. What's the game again? Sorry.
It's Pokemon. It's Pokemon Sword and Shield. So it's a Pokemon game. So.
But it's Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is what, 4 years old?
No, it's the most recent Pokemon game. Which
So you can tell which one of the group obviously doesn't play Pokemon. I thought that was older than it was.
Released in 2019. November 2019 is its release.
So 2 years. I was.
Yeah, but it's a mainline Pokemon game.
It is a mainline Pokemon game. It is the main series.
This is the problem because
I have a price in mind.
It's one of them that goes sort of up and down. You're saying it's obviously got some DLC as well.
It's got DLC, which is an entirely new region to explore. 2 new regions to explore.
Yes.
60.
And more returning Pokemon.
60. We have 60. Lemming.
I'm going to go with 75.
And Shadow.
$59.99.
$59.99. And he's got 2 for 2 for Lemming at £76.98.
76 fucking hell!
I will point out.
High price DLC.
I will point out that on the splash page it says there's a sale going on in the store, on the Nintendo store right now.
Oh.
So that is not. So that, and I have not, and none of those games are on sale.
Nope.
Wait, show me that price back. Like, I believe you, but I need to see it with my own 2 eyes.
$49.99 on that one. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Christ.
Yep.
They don't sell those DLCs cheap.
And
yeah, I'm with Bird. Jesus H.
And we're going to wrap up the podcast soon, but just for the sake of it, don't forget that Breath of the Wild was a launch title for the Switch back in 2016. What is its current price, Doctor?
Release title 5 years ago. No extra DLC or stuff.
No extra DLC, just the base game itself. No extra DLC, and to give you full details, it was released in the exact year it was released was 2017. Was its release?
So I'm gonna say what I would normally expect, which would be like about 20 quid or less. But because if the way this is going, I'm gonna go for 45 again. I've got to look around there. The way this is going, it's always higher than you think.
You get 3 for 3.
It's always higher than you think. I'm gonna go down this time. I'm gonna go 40.
Shadow.
$49.99.
It's Shadow who takes it, but only because she's the highest out of all of you.
Yeah.
As Breath of the Wild still to this day sits at $59.99.
That was my first thought, and I thought, no, it can't be. It can't be.
$59.99.
Yep.
Jesus.
I mean, hell,
man.
one of the other release titles, Mario Kart 8.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't even exclusive. That was a re-release.
Yep.
Okay,
Released
Shall we
on
get
the
that?
Switch in
Yeah, sure, go on.
2017.
Come on, I'm having too much fun.
I'm going 50
Yeah.
quid, okay? That's
Hold on. Let me put up first. So you got 50 quid from Doctor. Lemming.
You can have somebody who's going to technically go 49.99. I can see where this is going.
I'm going 55 on this one.
59. 59.99.
Doctor takes it at 49.99.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
Like I said, first-party Nintendo titles do never change price.
This is something which I've noticed a long time myself. They never put them on sale because they feel like, why should we when they can just, they'll just sell anyway.
They'll just sell.
Yeah,
and
the only games that go on sale on Nintendo platforms are third
party. And it's shitty because effectively you can never pick up a Nintendo game in sale price because they don't depreciate.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's the only company in the world that has that.
Yeah, and it's not just like, I just want to point out, it's not just for like games on the current gen. I've noticed like when the DS was just behind the 3DS, like the Mario Kart DS games were still high priced. They were a little depreciated for sure, but they were still selling for 35 quid at that time.
But this
they
also
hurt.
brings us to, it's also hitting like the less fortunate among us who don't have a lot of cash to spend,
Exactly.
who might have spent all they have on getting hold of a Nintendo Switch. And this isn't just buying new. Buying these games digitally or brand new for full price is one thing. When you go online and find these second-hand resellers like the Entertainment Exchange, CEX in the UK, look up how much it costs for a pre-owned copy of Mario Kart 8 at CEX. £45.
Yep. You might as well get the actual game at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And also,
that's a 4-year-old game.
But absolutely nailed it. This is Nintendo's true nefarious nature. They charge you full price. And it's like, but you want to play with friends, don't you? You want to play Mario Kart with friends, don't you? Then that means you all have to buy it at $49.99.
And on our shitty fucking Wi-Fi too.
Yep.
And on our shitty Wi-Fi too.
It boggles my mind that Zelda Breath of the Wild pre-owned is 50 quid.
Let me just kind of finish off here. And
how does that work?
And if you want to know why I'm mad at that, Nintendo, here's why I'm mad. It's because I can pick up the Elder Scrolls Skyrim on Steam for $29.99 brand new.
Yep.
Even that's depreciated over the amount of times it's been re-released over all these years.
Did you hear about that new Skyrim they're releasing for the anniversary for?
Hell, Metal Gear Solid, the game that burst the genre, is currently £6 on GOG.
Yeah. Hey,
£5.79.
I'm just gonna look something up.
It's actually in the best-selling list right now because of that update it had.
This is the problem. What I've always had with Nintendo is that it's a corporate company that pretends to be very family friendly, your friend, and they are family friendly, but they really, when you get down to it, they are just as nefarious as any other company with how they make money.
Not consumer friendly.
Yeah,
they're looking at the bottom line.
Can you blame them? They are the most successful gaming company consistently throughout gaming history. They have always been there.
Yep. Oh, I'm not denying it for a second.
Oh, of course.
Like I said, we're back into this whole conversation again. It's the looking at the bottom line. It's the putting the money before fans and
for the consumers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like Burr said in the chat, at least this time, now that Nintendo have caught up with the digital age and have a digital storefront where you can spend money to buy games digitally over the internet, you can, in fact, buy indie games.
Yes, you can. I agree.
I would also love to buy like old games that you've ported to Virtual Console, but apparently you're not doing that. So
Shadow must have been reading my mind. Give me back that brain cell. I was saying the exact same thing. For all the money that they seem to charge for these brand new games, thank you very much. they really do seem to be very averse to giving you away. Arlo. Okay, first of all, I'll plug Arlo. Arlo is a great person to watch on YouTube. He's a monster. He's a blue monster. Fuzzy. He's an adorable, cute, fuzzy blue monster who likes to talk Nintendo stuff. Go watch his videos. He's awesome. But he was talking about how, if you want to play the Metroid 5's coming out, everyone. Metroid 5's coming out. How do you play the entire the Metroid series? Here's how you play the entire the Metroid series. You either have an SNES or an NES for the usual games, or you have a Wii U. Those are your options. Because the Wii U has Fusion on it, which is a Game Boy Advance game, has Super Metroid on it, which is, of course, an SNES game, which is on Nintendo Online, and, of course, Zero Mission, which, of course, was also a remake of the original game, which was for the Game Boy Advance, also on there. Yeah, if you want to play Metroid, the series that they're kind of releasing the 5th entry in, which also has interesting story beats that carry on from those games, you cannot play effectively the one immediately before it.
Now, if I don't remember correctly, normally when companies do that, they do a bundle collection for the previous titles.
But they've not. The only thing we had recently is Samus Returns, which is actually the second game in the series, whereas technically this is game 5. We should have gotten at least Metroid Fusion as a kind of a release, but no, you can't even get it on 3DS. You can if you're part of the Ambassadors program, but you only got that if you were literally one of the first early adopters of the 3DS, because they dropped the price a year later.
Yeah, and don't even dream of playing the Prime series.
Yeah, no, God, yeah.
If you want to play Metroid Prime, you need an original copy of. I think you need an original copy. I don't think you could download it from the Wii. You can't download it from the Wii shop because it's dead now.
Correction. The Wii U does have the trilogy available for a very competitive price, available on its system, which Arlo did point out that he did say that you can get the entire trilogy for $29, according to him, which he said was the first time he looked at it and said, that's a pretty good deal. Yeah.
Yeah, but, you still need a Wii U in order to get the Prime series.
And come on, who's got a Switch is going to go out and buy a Wii U?
Yeah, exactly.
It's downgrade.
No, eBack. Who's going to buy a Wii
U? Touche. Yeah, so all in all...
Neving wants to...
Go on, Neving.
Add his 2 cents.
No, I want to buy a Wii U.
Well, I do too. I want a Wii U because there's some fun games that never came out on Switch for it. And
I have a Wii. I have a Wii. That's enough for me.
I have a Wii in a bag somewhere.
And yeah, there are also collectors around who are also buying the games. Point is that companies are not doing a good enough job they're always protecting their bottom line. They're never thinking of the actual product themselves.
Yeah, they're not nurturing.
Except in circumstances when they know it will affect their bottom line. And even then, they're making some considerations. And whenever there is ever a concern about someone has got to give somewhere, it's never the side that you want. It's always the corporate side.
Yeah, it's almost like if Bobby Kotick dropped his absolutely ridiculous salary, they could have kept those 800 people in February 2019. Almost.
Yeah. It's almost like if Konami weren't too busy raking money from their pachinko machines, they could have probably afforded to continue paying Hideo Kojima for another year and given us the end of Metal Gear Solid 4. 5, actually. Yeah, 5. My apologies. Yeah, 5. Yeah. Although, while we're at it, re-release Metal Gear Solid 4, goddammit. You're going to get it on PS3.
Yeah.
What about the one that was only on... Yeah, what about the one that was only on GameCube, huh?
And the Twin Snakes. Give us the fucking Twin Snakes. Well, to be fair, to be absolutely fair, there are rumors that a Metal Gear Solid remake is on the card. So, technically, we are getting that. But yeah.
If I might make an analogy on this whole, corporate versus artist situation, the corporate, are controlling everything. They're giving the orders, issuing the commands, making the demands for what must be made. But in essence, they're taking the men and women who designed and built the Burj Khalifa in Dubai and then paying them a pittance to build flat pack furniture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing with the artists under their control. They have the greatest creative minds in the world today, and they're stagnating them.
Okay.
And if you're working for Activision Blizzard, they are literally just paying you peanuts.
I want to end on a positive note for this, which is
Please.
we talk about a lot about that. Now, that doesn't mean it's all doom and gloom. There are clearly products out there that have a lot of people design them and have got the budget behind them. That I'm not just talking about indie games. I am talking about corporate games as well. There are some corporate games out there that have the backing and love that they do get from their corporate overlords. Nintendo, as much as I'm bitched about them in this, they do give a lot of support to their products in this.
They do.
And give the time that they deserve. They delayed Animal Crossing a whole 6 months or whatever it was to make sure that was ready for release. And it came out, ironically, the delay was perhaps the best thing they could do because it arrived during lockdown period. So I think it worked for them in that way as well. I'm also looking at my shelf and seeing quite a lot of games here made by developers that clearly have a labor of love. Again, your Reignited Trilogy, the Crash 4. Yes, again, Activision games, I know we're mentioning that and such, but still, it's worth mentioning that there are games out there. Horizon Zero Dawn, a great game. I was playing Ghost of Tsushima before the stream. A fantastic game. There's great games out there, great single-player experiences that don't talk down to you, don't constantly want your wallet, and are just happy with you just saying, play me until the end, and then put me down until you want to play me again, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, and can I just like plug It Takes Two again, because even though that's not really a single player game,
talk about what makes that great from a consumer standpoint.
From a consumer standpoint, it's a co-op game which you can use online to find a co-op partner. But if you have a friend, if one of you has bought the game full price, the other player can download a friend pass, which is a trial of the game, and so long as the person who has the full game starts the game session itself and invites that person, that other friend can play for free. That's
Magic.
That's how I managed to play it with Bert, and it is a game full of so much love, and like it was oozing out of every pore kind of thing as we were playing it. I mean, it was so good, and I paid like literally nothing for it. And I had such a good time with it. I was like, I really want this game. Like, I want to play full price for this game because I love it so much. And Burr kind of helped me out on that. So
now there is one more thing I want to mention is that there's also a responsibility from a consumer to be responsible here as well. And when I say that is one news article that we didn't mention, which I was saving till the very end here, was something that hit me very hard, and that is showing that we as gamers are not also doing our bit, and that is this. Steam's 2-hour refund policy was abused to get refunds for a game that only had a 2-hour long time from Amiga Games. And that was Summer of 58, a psychological thriller that was extremely positively reviewed. Literally, it's got great reviews, but because it's a 2-hour game or a sub 2-hour game, people were able to abuse the play the game and complete it and get their experience and then refund it. And that is just shitty from a consumer standpoint. It's great that you can refund the game, but that's not what that process was designed for.
Yeah. No,
it's abuse of a system.
It is abuse of a system. It is clear abuse of a system.
Yeah, if you completed the game from front to back and enjoyed the experience, you should not be, morally capable of handing that game back and saying, no, I didn't enjoy it, give me my money back.
With all respect, Lemming, if you played through the entire game and you didn't enjoy it, you still don't deserve your money back because you played through the entire game. If you didn't know you didn't like it in the first 10 minutes, what the fuck are you doing,
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think somebody said that there needs to be like a trigger at the end of the game which has like a little like achievement that says you've finished the game, and if you have that achievement, then I'm sorry, you can't refund it, kind of thing.
Yeah, you finished the game. How can you say like how can you hand this back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
this is just cruel because go on, Doctor.
You've also I think that the only way you can get around this is if you put like a percentage cap rather than a like
hourly cap.
Time cap.
Well, I think
it's difficult though because
if you put like a 25% and they say how long it recommends you to get through a game, say 2 hours. If you play the first half an hour and you're not enjoying it, that's one thing. But to put the hard cap on a time frame,
I would take your idea and modify it slightly. Percentage based for smaller games, but also have a cap at the 2-hour limit. So effectively, if it's a long game, you've still got your 2 hours. If it's a short game, then it's only 25% of that short game, effectively.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That way, it covers
They
both
get the
angles.
Yeah, but they get the information from the company in advance,
Yeah.
so they can factor that into their refund policy.
Yeah.
But that would require Valve actually doing some work. So
It would, but also, let's not face it doesn't solve the problem of people just being shitty.
yeah.
Don't be.
This is on our side. This is our side of things, the consumer side of things, being douchebags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just not on, because this is what leads to those people, to companies being like, we need to get that money and we need to make sure we never get it back, and need to get constant engagement from it. It leads to developers saying, well, we didn't make any money. That developer didn't make any money off all those games that people played and experienced.
Yeah.
Effectively, yeah, because you get that money have to be refunded.
Yeah. He didn't make any. He didn't make a penny of that money. And how do you think that's going to make him feel?
Yeah, and I bet there's algorithms at work as well on Steam for like if there's a certain amount of refunds happening for this game, no matter what's the algorithm's not going to know that it's people being shitty. So if it gets a lot of refunds for that game, it's going to go, oh, there's a lot of people refunding that. Yep, right down the search rankings as well, which just exacerbates the problem.
Mm-hmm. It's just this is just not good. And companies are assholes. They do good at sometimes, they do bad at other times. We also, as our community, need to acknowledge our faults. We can be very aggressive, like that time when Shadow was talking about when that guy was hounded for being the front line of Blizzard's booth at a convention. That was wrong. This is wrong.
Yeah.
Refunding that game when you've clearly played it. If you played for the entire game, you fucking enjoyed it. Don't lie to me.
Yeah, you've played through it to the end.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a rental place.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It really is. It is a clear.
If you want to rent it, play the fucking demo if there is one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But I think that's a nice place for us. We've gone over time. We've gone over 20 minutes over time at this point. We need to wrap it up. So we're going to call it a night here for the Common Dense podcast, but we're going to shove you all in the raid cannon to shove you over to someone we like. And I think I know exactly who I'm going to shove you over to, because we always rate him afterwards. It's always going to be Scarf, isn't it?
It's the Scarf boy.
Yep, if Scarf is live, we run to Scarf.
So yes, let's shove you all in the raid cannon as he's playing some gams. What is he playing?
Is it Mundown, he said?
Yes, Mundown. So, yes, a bit of point and click weirdness going on. So expect some weird shit going on when we go down there. Yes, be sure to follow us here at the Common Dense Podcast. And also, you find our Twitter handles below, except for Dr. aka Not Burr, who is not available on Twitter. But that's fine. Just be sure to follow us. I go live every Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and occasional Sundays. Shadow Phoenix Rider will be streaming to Oberdin in the near future. And of course, Lemmy Russ. Lemmy, when do you go live?
I will go live
Not tomorrow.
Yeah, not tomorrow. On Thursday for Throwback Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Maybe 5:30, depending on when I get off from work. And I will be playing Metal Gear Solid 1, testing out how well modern controls work on it.
Oh, I'll
Should
be there.
A fun evening. I stream most weekdays. I will certainly be streaming most weekdays over the coming month because it is October.
Indeed, it is October.
I want to try and garner some sympathy from the viewers.
Yes. So don't forget, it's Subtober, so share your subs. We need to shoot you over the raid cannon, but we'll be in the Common Dense podcast. My name's BD Back, joined by Dr. Lemuros and Shadow. Goodbye, everyone.
Good night.
Good evening.
Good show.